Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay. Where we left off. Yeah, we configured backend. We configured frontend. I think it's time we start. Programming. Okay. Delete all of this. Let's see. Okay, first for anything else, I want to make this. Wait, found a swap file? Quit. Delete it. Okay. Outlet. Yeah, this is what we get from the page, from the Stack React router. And okay, that's okay. Let me just have this here. Okay, first, uh, what am I doing? Okay, okay, we don't need this one. Okay, go here, go here. Go common. Let me delete that error component about. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, here the error component. It's whatever right now. We'll change that. Okay, let's go here. I want to check out the React docs. Go just here. Okay, we have quick start, installation, describing the UI, adding reactivity, interactivity. Let's see, what are they talking about here? About the state. Okay, state, I am familiar with the state, so I'm not gonna talk too much or read too much about it. Okay, thinking in React, this is an interesting one. React can change how you think about designs you look at and the apps you build. When you build a user interface with React, you will first break it apart into pieces called components. Yeah, fair enough. Then you will describe the different visual states for each of your components. Yeah, okay. Finally, you will connect your components together so that data flows through them. Yes. In this tutorial, we'll guide you through the thought process of building a searchable product data table with React. 1 second. Yeah, back. Okay, so start with the mockup. Imagine you already have a JSON API and a mockup from a designer. The JSON API returns some data. Okay. The mockup looks like this. Okay. To implement a UI in React, you will usually follow the same 5 steps. Break the UI into a component hierarchy. Start by drawing boxes around every component and subcomponent in the mocking and naming them. If you work with a designer, they may have already named these components in their design tool. Ask them. I never experienced this. That would be nice. Depending on your background, you can think about splitting up a design into components in different ways. Programming. Use the same techniques for deciding if you should create a new function or object. One such technique is separation of concerns, that is, a component should ideally only be concerned with one thing. That is fair. That is fair. Often in the real world, it will be concerned about more things, but going with one is ideal. If it ends up growing, it should be decomposed into smaller subcomponents. Okay. CSS, consider what you would make class selector for. However, components are a bit less granular. Okay. Design, consider how you would organize the science layer. Sure. If your JSON is well structured, you'll often find that it naturally maps to the component structure of your UI. That's because UI and data models often have the same information architecture, that is, the same shape. Separate your UI in components where each component matches one piece of your data model. We have product row, product category row, product table, search bar, and the whole freaking thing. Fair? Yep, receives the user input, and this, yeah, product table displays and filters the list according to the user input. Yep. Green, product category row, display a heading for each category. Fruits, vegetables. Okay, I wouldn't put this in a separate component, but maybe I'm doing it wrong. It very much could be that I'm wrong here. I would put like, this would probably be one component for me. So it has the table, the title, and the list. That would be one component. And then it will be repeating, since we have fruits, we have vegetables, and then even if our backend adds more, so we have fruits, vegetables, and let's say meat, it would basically automatically be added. I think that's a better way to handle this. But okay. If you look at product table lavender, there is the whole thing. You'll see that the table header containing the name and price labels isn't its own component. Yeah, okay. This is a matter of preference, and you could go either way. Okay, cool. For this example, it is a part of product table because it appears inside the product tables list. Fair. However, if this header grows to be complex, if you add sorting, move it into its own product table header component. Fair enough. Now that you've identified component in the mockup, arrange them into a hierarchy. Components that appear within another component in the mockup should appear as a child in the hierarchy. Yeah, that is like, so this is a parent, we have children, another child, and that inside we have another more children, and inside those children there's more children. Okay, build a static version in React. Okay, now that you have a component, it's time to implement your app. The most straightforward approach is to build a version, blah blah blah. This is something I know. If you want me to break down each part, feel free to post that in the comments. I read them, I answer to them, and yeah, I'm skipping parts that I know, that I'm confident I know, so I don't waste much of my time, because I don't have a lot of time. I do be working full time, so yeah. Okay. Wait, how did it do it? Okay, so products for each product. So for each product, no, wait. Where did he start? product category row. Let's see. Let me see how he did it. Product table, product category row, product row. Okay. So we have product row. Okay. Product table with products. Okay. Last category. Huh. Interesting. I'm not sure I would do it like this. If the category is not the same as the last category, wait. Wait, I'm thinking. Oh, it doesn't return. Oh yeah. It doesn't break the loop. Yeah. I was thinking like if it's not the last category, wouldn't it stay here like forever? But yeah, it's not. There's no return, so it would do this one and then the row, and then it would set the category, the last category. Okay. It might be too early for me. It's fine. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's pretty standard, I guess. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, sure. Well, I guess it's the same thought as I would have done. So even if they add another category, it would be printed automatically. Good thinking, good thinking. After building your components, you'll have a library of reusable components that render your data model. Okay. Not be using any state values. That's for the next step. Find a minimal but complete representation of UI state. Channel underlying name. You will use state for this. Okay. Okay. Think of state. Think of state as the minimal set of changing data that your app needs to remember. The most important principle for structuring state is to keep it dry. Oh my god, I hate dry. Like, sometimes it's fine to be wet. Right? Sometimes write it down. Write this down. Sometimes it's fine to be wet. Figure out the minimal representation of the state your application needs and compute everything else on demand. For example, if you're building a shopping list, you can store the items as an array in a state. If you want to also display the number of items in the list, don't store the number of items as another state value. Instead, read length of the... Okay, that's basic. I thought I would get something out of this. Okay. Now think of all the pieces of data in the example application, the original list of products, the search text the user has entered, the value of the checkbox, the filtered list of products. Which of these are state? Identify the ones that are not. Does it remain unchanged over time? If so, it is in state. Is it passed from parent via props? If so, it is in state. Can you compute it based on existing state or props in your component? If so, it definitely isn't state. Okay, so the original list is not state. The search is the state. The value is the state. The filtered list of products is not state. Well, you could have it in state. I guess you could. Yeah. But I think it's ideal to not be in state. Okay, let's see what they say. What's left is probably state. Okay, let's go through them one by one. The original list of products is passed and it's not a state. Yep. The search text seems to be state since it changes over time and can be computed from anything. Yep. The value of the string seems to be state. Yep. It changes over time and can be computed from anything. Yep. The filtered list of products isn't state because it can be computed by taking the original list of products and blah, 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 blah. Yep. I agree. It's not a state, even though you can put them in state. Just with the you can put them in state. Now, when would you do this? When would you? I guess you don't have to. Like, you're just making it harder for your application. Yeah. 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 No need for state here. Okay, cool. Props of states, components memory, argument you pass to a function. Yeah. Okay. And then identify where your state should live. Grab minimal name. You need to identify which component is responsible for changing the state or own the state or owns the state. Okay, remember React uses one-way data flow, which is not 100% true, but it's fine. Passing data down the component hierarchy from parent to child component. Yeah, it may not be immediately clear which component should own what state. This can be challenging if you are new to this concept, but you can figure it out by following these steps. For each piece of state in your application, identify every component that renders something based on that state. Find the closest parent component, a component above them, all in the hierarchy. Decide where the state should live. Often you can put the state directly into the common parent. You can also put the state into some component above their common parent. If you can't find a component where it makes sense to own the state, create a new component solely for holding the state and add it somewhere in the hierarchy above the common parent component. Okay. So where should this one live? This one is creating the state. It's owning the state, but it's not the parent. So it would have to go up there in the filterable product table. Right. Okay. Now let's run through our search for them. Product table needs to filter the product list based. Okay, yeah, search bar needs to display the state, search text and checkbox value, find their common parent, which is this one, and it will live here. Cool. And we said that, right? Yeah, we said that. Great. Moving on. State, pass it down. Yep. Use the M. You can start seeing how it will behave. Okay, yeah. And change handler, yeah. On change will have the set filter, the set state, add inverse data flow. Currently your app renders correctly with props and state, following down the hierarchy, but to change the state according to user input will need support. Yeah, so you change it with the set filter, yeah. And on change. Cool. And the application fully works. Test it. Okay. Ooh, cool. Okay. Okay. Good read. going on. Put the React app from scratch, that's fine. Editor setup using TypeScript. I think we already did this. React developer tools, I have them. Production build of React, okay, cool. Yeah, you'll see it later on. Okay, React compiler, it's fine. Okay, describing the UI, your first component. Let me just, okay. Importing and exporting components, writing Markov with JSX, JavaScript in JSX, passing props, conditional rendering. Let me just see this. Conditional rendering. There's nothing conditionally rendered here, no? No. Okay. If else, sure. Conditionally returning nothing. Return null, yeah. Name. Conditionally including JSX, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I know that, but I was thinking they would at least mention, put numbers on the left side. Yeah, don't. Okay. To recap, weird. I thought they would mention their new components. And landscaping components pure your UI as a tree. Adding interactivity, responding to events, blah blah blah, render and commit, status snapshot, queuing a series, updating arrays, updating objects, acting to input with state, choosing the state ground, sharing the state between preserving and resetting, okay, passing data deeply, scaling up, okay. Okay. Okay, this is what I want. Yeah, activity. Activity. Exactly. Let you hide and restore the UI and internal state of its children. Boundary is hidden. React will usually hide its children using the display none. Yeah, that's a better way of doing it, right? Instead of conditionally rendering, for a simple fact that with display none, it will preserve the state. So depending on the number of your components, it's sometimes better to do this. If you don't want if you don't care about clogging your DOM tree, you can use display none, which means it will be still on the tree. It's not unmounted, meaning it will preserve its state, which is useful if you need it be preserved. For example, if you have a tabs component, parent tabs, and you need to save the state of its children when moving tabs, it's better to use display none than to conditionally rendering them. And with activity, you can do that out of the box. You don't need to play with CSS. New props, albeit at a lower point. Okay, when the boundary becomes visible again, React will reveal the children with their previous state restored. Yes, and recreate their effects. Cool. In this way, activity can be thought of as a mechanism for rendering background activity rather than completely discarding content that's likely to become visible again You can use activity to maintain and restore the content's UI and internal state, while ensuring that your hidden content has no unwanted side effects. Cool. Props. Children, the UI you intend to show and hide. Mode, a string value of either visible or hidden. If omitted, defaults to visible. Cool. Interesting. It defaults to true. If an activity is rendered inside of view transition and becomes visible as a result of an update caused by start transition, it will activate the view transition, enter animation. If it becomes hidden, it will activate its exit. Okay. An activity that just renders text will not render anything rather than rendering hidden text because there's no corresponding DOM elements to apply visibility changes to. An activity that just renders text will not render anything rather than rendering hidden text. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Restoring the state of hidden components. Yeah. 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 Okay. The review section always starts out collapsed because we unmount the sidebar when it is showing sidebar flips to false. All its internal state is lost. This is a perfect use case for activity. We can preserve the internal state of our sidebar even when visually hiding it. Let's replace the conditional rendering of our sidebar with an activity boundary. Okay, let's see the new behavior. Toggle sidebar. See, it's not preserving state. And here it should. Yep. Right. Okay, nice. Restoring the DOM of hidden components. Since activity boundary hide their children using display none, their children's DOM is also preserved when hidden. Yep. This makes them great for maintaining ephemeral state in parts of the UI that the user is likely to interact with again. Yep. So it's not really like you want to use this always, but sometimes it's really useful. Okay. Yeah, basically the same thing. Pre-rendering content that's likely to become visible. So far we've seen how activity can hide some content that the user has interacted with without discarding the content's ephemeral state. But activity boundaries can also be used to prepare content that the user has yet to see for the first time. Interesting. When activity boundary is hidden during its initial render, its children won't be visible on the page, but they will still be rendered, albeit at a lower priority than the visible content and without mounting their effects. This pre-rendering allows the children to load any code or data they need ahead of time, so that later when the activity boundary becomes visible, the children can appear faster with reduced loading times. Yep. Yeah, definitely faster there. Definitely faster than using conditional rendering. You could still achieve this behavior with CSS and display none, and then display block or flex or whatever you need. But yeah, it's nice to have this kind of built in React. I mean, it's not kind of, it is built in React. Let's look at an example. Okay, we don't need to. Yep, okay. Only suspense enabled data sources will be fetched during pre-rendering. Okay. Okay. Activity does not detect data that is fetched inside an effect. Interesting. Huh. Would it be? Interesting. I'm curious to try this with React Query. I don't know, is there a part of application where it's gonna be useful, but we'll see. Okay, speeding up interactions during page load. React includes under the hood performance optimization called selective hydration. It works by hydrating your app's initial HTML in chunks, enabling some components to become interactive even if other components on the page haven't loaded their code or data yet. Suspense boundaries participate in selective hydration because they naturally divide your components tree into units that are independent from one another. Cool. Here, message composer can be fully hydrated during the initial page of the render of the page, even before chats is mounted and starts to fetch its data. Okay. Okay. So by breaking up your components tree into discrete units, Suspense allows React to hydrate your app's servers rendered HTML in chunks, enabling parts of your app to become interactive as fast as possible. But what about pages that don't use Suspense? I think we'll just wrap the whole page into some Suspense. Yeah. Okay. This shit broke. Why is it broken? Please. Please. Okay. Okay. Okay, components. Go back here. Have fragment. Yeah, fragment is okay. Really? Oh, I guess you put color where you want to wrap. And callback. Measuring different parts of the application. Yeah. Put it what you want to measure. It is disabled in production mode by default. Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. suspense. Usage, displaying a fallback while content is loading, revealing content together at once, revealing nested content as it loads, showing stale content while fresh content is loading, preventing already revealed content from hiding, indicating that a transition is happening, resetting suspense boundaries on navigation, providing a fallback for server errors and client-only content. Interesting. Okay, let's add it. Before reading, of course, we are true developers. Let's add a fallback. Let's add loading. Loader, I think it was. No. What was it? Wait, I think Entity has a loader. Isn't it? What? Wait, load. Oh yeah, it's spin. Yeah. Can I have a different one, please? Okay, this one is better. Give me this one, please. Okay. Fallback in the indicator. Let's see. Loading outline in okay, and size. Let's go for large. Interesting. Okay, let me place this here. Let's import this. Why doesn't it do automatically? I don't know. Okay, yep. Let's put React on top. Let's put this here. Okay. We have our indicator. We have our fallback. We have our loader. Cool. Let's see. Let's read more about it. Okay, so it has children, obviously. The actual UI you intend to render. If children suspends while rendering, the suspense boundary will switch to rendering fallback. Cool. Fallback, an alternate UI to render in place of the actual UI. It has not finished loading. Any valid React node is accepted true, though in practice a fallback is a lightweight placeholder view, such as a loading spinner or skeleton. Suspense will automatically switch to fallback when children suspends. Okay, and back to children when the data is ready. If fallback suspends while rendering, it will activate the closest parent suspense boundary. Cool. Cool. Good to know. React does not preserve any state for renders that got suspended before they were able to mount for the first time. Makes sense. When the component has loaded, React will retry rendering the suspended tree from scratch. Okay. If suspense was displaying content for the tree, but then it's suspended again, the fallback will be shown again unless the update causing it was caused by start transition or use deferred value. Okay. if React needs to hide the already visible content because it's suspended again, it will clean up layout effects in the content tree. When the content is ready to be shown again, React will fire the layout effects again. This ensures that effects measuring the DOM layout don't try to do this while the content is hidden. React includes under the hood optimization like streaming server rendering and selective hydration that are integrated with Suspense. Read and watch a technical talk. Okay, sure, we'll read this. I don't think we'll read today, or definitely not today, but we can read that some other day. Usage. Okay, usage. Displaying a fallback while content is loading. You can wrap any part of your application with suspense boundary. Cool. Oh yeah, what I realized, yeah, if fallback suspends while rendering, it will activate the closest parent suspense boundary. So if we have, we have a suspense which will be around the page, the whole page, right? But we can also have suspense around each individual children, which need it, of course. Like, don't do it for every children, for every child. But we can have it, and it will react to its own, right? Loading. And if that one falls, it will go back to this one. But in essence, we can have multiple. So basically, it's use it when where you need it. Okay, good to know. All the code and data needed by the children has been loaded. Cool. In the example below, the albums component suspends while fetching the list of albums until it's ready to render. React switches to suspends while fetching the list of albums. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Until it's ready to render, React switches the closest suspense boundary above the show the fallback your loading component. Okay. Then when data loads, React hides the loading fallback and renders the albums component with data. Okay. Only suspense enabled data sources will activate the suspense component. They include data fetching with suspense enabled frameworks, lazy, okay. We already read this. Revealing content together at once. By default, the whole tree inside suspense is treated as a single unit. For example, even if only one of these components suspends waiting for some data, all of them together will be replaced by the loading indicator. Yes. And this is why I should, and you should, and we should probably use suspense for components that need it. Meaning that if you are loading for a single component inside your app, use suspense so not to prevent every child from loading, right? That would not be ideal for your users. Then after all of them are ready to be displayed, they will be appear together at once. An example before, but blah, okay. Yep. They're all loading. Yep. Yep. Okay. Components that load data don't have to be direct children of the suspense boundary. For example, you can move biography and outputs into a new details component. Yeah, they don't have to be direct children. Again, we're talking about use suspense. Wait. Can move biography and albums into new details. Yeah. Again, we're talking about every child that needs loading should have a suspense, because if it's loading, you need to show the loader for that component, not for everything. Revealing nested content as it loads. When component suspends, the closest parent suspends component shows the fallback. Okay. This lets you nest multiple. Yep. This is exactly what we talked about. Great. Good to know. Showing stale content while fresh content is loading. Blah blah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Oh. It's loading that, but okay. Cool. A common alternative UI pattern is to defer updating the list and to keep showing the previous results until the new results are ready. The use defer the value hook lets you pass the third version of the query down. Interesting. The query will update immediately, so the input will display the new value. However, the defer query will keep its previous value until the data has loaded. So search results will show the stale results for a bit. Okay. Is this always necessary? I don't think so. Okay. Preventing already revealed content from hiding. Okay. Okay. Okay, I need to go for a bit. I will come back soon. Be back 10 to 15 minutes break. Oh, okay, I'm back. Where are we at? Okay, so the mark the navigation state update does the start transition. Not urgent, it is better to keep showing the previous page instead of hiding any already revealed content. What? Too loud, too loud. Okay. Okay. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay. Indicating that the transition is happening. Okay, so is pending. Start transition, use transition, is pending. Oh, there's an is pending. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I understand. Why doesn't this work? What? Yeah, yeah. Those are all components that I want. In strict mode is just a strict mode. I think it's enabled by default. No. Uh, let's see. It should be here. Yeah, it's strict mode right here. See? Okay. 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 Let me make styles directory, and here we'll make style.css. Okay. Just save that. So we have it here. Okay. We'll need that later, and let me make here a div. Maybe I make a layout. It's fine for now. With the class page. Here in this page, I think I will define everything about the app, and then we won't be needing this, right? With the root and everything else. Also, I plan on deleting this one, but it will be eventually. Oh yeah, there's also this one. Huh. Okay. Okay, so we have root. I think. Do we need that one? I don't think we do. I think we can make everything inside here. Everything in the styles. Right. And then we'll just delete these ones. Let me just delete it. And let's go here, here. Okay. Yeah, page one. Okay. We have div, we have index, component app. Okay. We have the loader, short query data. Okay. 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 Let me just we'll just use div here. Type element. Yeah. How did I do it here? Oh yeah, I just created a new component. Yeah. Okay. So go here, function, index component. It's fine for now. Return div. hello index. Use this one instead of the app. Remove the app from import. This one is already on here. Cool. Okay. Let me just see here. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot we already implemented this one. Await response that value. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so we can delete these three, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go here. Let's go to search. Was it? Yeah. So remove app that CSS. Remove app that tsx and remove index.css. Okay. Cool. Cool. Like that. Just restart my Vimigen. Okay. And this should run with no big problems. Let's go npm run dev. Let's see. Not found. Okay. Oh yeah, the request failed because my backend is not running. Let's start my backend real quick. Okay, it's listening. Yeah, hello index and about me. Okay. 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 I think that's enough for today. Wasn't a long stream, I know, but still, we did get something from it. In the next one, I want to check out the hooks. I want to check out the hooks. Okay, so form, we will use add the form, which has a lot of stuff, like a lot. I'll probably spend a couple of days just reading about the form. It's insane how much stuff there is. Hooks, okay. Status. Why can't I see all the hooks? What is this? Wait, what? Okay. Okay, built-in React hooks. Okay, so we have context, we have state, we have ref. Okay, effect hooks, use effect, use layout effect, use insertion effect. This one I don't know. Dynamic CSS here. Okay. Performance hooks, use memo, use callback. Yeah, other hooks. Use debug value, use ID. Let's component associate a unique ID with itself, typically used with accessibility APIs. Okay. No, wait, there's more hooks. What? Maybe here? APIs? Create content, ladies, memo, start transition, act, use. Okay, this one is new. This one is new, and I want to read about it. And I know there's another hook called. Okay, you can see it here. Oh, okay. That's it. Use effect event. Yeah, this one is new. I think it's new. Should be new. Is React hook that lets you extract non-reactive logic from your effects into a reusable function called an effect event. Interesting. To extract non-reactive logic from your effects into a reusable function called an effect event. Okay. Okay. Interesting. We'll read all about it. And yeah, you can use insertion. Okay, use memo, use optimistic. Okay, use transition. And then we have APIs, cache signal, create content, use. Okay. And that's React DOM. And this is React. Okay. Hydrate root. Okay, static APIs. Okay. Whew. Okay, a lot of reading today. Again. I hope we start actually coding soon. This is getting kind of ridiculous. But yeah, the idea is to learn everything I'm going to use before actually using it. And yeah, that makes it interesting. I also need to figure out how do I want it to look exactly. It's still not that clear to me. As the name suggests I wanted to go to the route of like solo leveling. But yeah, we'll see. Oh yeah, let me just create. I don't have utils. I don't have utils here. Well, now I do. Now I do. Let me just go here to quick ls. Go to this. Let's move utils to utils. Less the utils. Less. Yeah. Cool. Now here we'll just have generate tree and main. Okay. We have the router. Yep. We have the client. We have the router. We'll still need to configure the client a bit for the cache and everything else, but that will come eventually. We have the query client provider here. Go to router. Okay. Yep. And we started with this. We have the page. We have the suspense. We'll see anything else necessary here. Okay. Good one. Okay, chat. See ya tomorrow. Oh, actually, wait. Before we go, let me just git this. Okay, git add. Let's see, Frontend. So it's app. Can I add both? I can't. Okay. ESX and CSS. Okay, git add again frontend, it's a components common error about git add frontend, so it's index, git add, so it's utils. Okay, status, git commit, deleted unnecessary files. Okay, git add frontend, so it's utils. Git, okay, let's go git status again. Git commit added a utils directory. Okay, git add frontend. Okay, let's go. So it's components common. Again, of course, git status, git commit. Okay, started the page configuration. Yeah, sure. Starts the page configuration. Okay, clear. Let me just check what have we done here. Okay, we removed index. Okay, git add, git commit, removed references for the deleted files. Yep. Okay. Status git push. Nice. Great. Okay. See ya. See you tomorrow. Don't know what to tell you except for that. See you.